And I'm Guy Pigden, and yes, we do apologise for these ongoing technical issues.
It's like we've never done this before. It's not. It's like it's not our 183rd episode.
No, well, I think the issue is that so as we all know, my laptop blew up. First time Apple let me down in many years. And yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say, it looks awesome now.
Um,
I'm looking on the live stream. It looks awesome. I
so,
think.
well, give it a second because I've just
now
gone.
it's flipping around.
I've just gone
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
Apple let me down, and I had to get a replacement laptop while my other laptop was being fixed. So
Yeah.
I got like a shittier version of that laptop because I didn't have enough money to get the full version again. Plus, my other laptop was getting fixed, but I needed an interim laptop, and so this interim laptop is what is currently running this whole setup, which I think is asking quite a lot of it. It's not liking it. But then again, we say that it was asking quite a lot of the super spec'd out one as well, which blew up. So I kind of don't, so
maybe you need to upgrade.
Well, I'm saying maybe I've made the problem worse.
Yeah.
In this little downgrade. But speaking of the downgrade, now I as we mentioned in the last episode of the show, I have.
You're a PC-ness now.
You're a Mac and I'm a PC.
PC-ness.
And so I've embraced.
It's going to take off.
I've embraced the dad joke number 1, in case you're wondering, keeping score. Man, your chin is really getting pretty double there.
Well, this is a horrible angle. This is a horrible angle. I shouldn't have shaved my beard. Gotta hit the gym.
I'm at 100% never shaving my beard. Looking at you now, my beard is 100% staying intact.
Do I look like a military man? Do I look like a military man? Hey, what's up with that fat military guy? He's obviously one of the pencil pushers.
Well, you're like Private what's his name? Private Pyle, Gomer Pyle from that's who you look like. From Full Metal Jacket. The guy that goes
that kills himself.
guy that goes crazy, kills himself and shoots the drill sergeant as well. I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
So for those who have not seen it, I highly recommend Full Metal Jacket. That's probably one of my favorite Kubrick films, and also his thing.
I watched it when I was a kid. Loved it. Big fan.
And that I am in a world of shit. Is another classic. So yeah, you kind of look like him, so maybe you'll get it.
Well, you never know.
I think if you also rewatched that, you'd be really insulted by that assessment.
Comparison?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I get it.
So anyway, I've converted to the PC thing. My PC build came in the other day, so I've just got it up and running, and I'll tell you some of my first adventures. So, like, one of the reasons I did it is because I thought I could save a significant amount of money and get better specs with it, and also the ability to upgrade it should I need to. So that's why I sort of did it. And first thing I realized, this whole thing about, you save so much money if you get a PC, it's fucking bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit. Because
I told you should have asked me about this first before you made this decision, guys.
I can't.
Before you left the ecosystem.
I can't ask the most.
I would have talked you out of it.
I can't ask the the computer illiterati about these things. You just don't know enough about it.
Keep saying that. Keep saying that. You keep saying that. I've been teaching him all this OBS stuff.
You don't know
all afternoon.
You don't know your CPU from your GPU, mate.
Well, I don't know what a GPU is.
Exactly. But anyway, so the first thing I was struck by was the fact that, yes, I did save some money on the PC build, except for the fact that you don't get a monitor with it, and you don't get speakers. Like, a Mac just plays sound out of it. That doesn't happen with a PC. You need separate speakers that you plug in. So by the time you've got a nice monitor and you've got some speakers and you've got a keyboard and you've got a mouse, well, actually, mate, you're in exactly the same fucking position as if you hadn't got a PC.
Well, I could have told you all of this because, I went from PC to Mac for all these benefits, for all these reasons. It's one thing. You put it here. There's no big thing down the bottom hissing and roaring. It's just one little screen. It's just a screen, and it's awesome, and everything's small and sleek.
I was also greatly disturbed to realize that
reliable.
I requested specifically for a USB-C connection, which is the little port that now plugs into all like Thunderbolt is the sort of standard, but USB-C is the slightly slower PC, slower inept cousin of Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
and
so the USAD.
So I got this in, and there's no USB-C port, and I was like, "What the fuck? I can't plug anything in. I literally cannot plug a single fucking thing into the." I'm an editor, sir. Do you not understand the ramifications of missing this port? And they sort of apologized and said they'd send me out a fucking thing. So now I've got to wait for that before I can plug a majority of my hard drives into it. So the other thing is it had a couple of hard drives that it came with, but I wanted to put some of my own hard drives in. Cut to 5 hours later, after I managed to figure out how the fuck to plug these hard drives in. I was like, what is going on? I just want to plug hard drives in. Surely, like the old Macs, you just slide them in. They're connected, done. In this, you've got to connect 3 fucking cables and hang it out the back of your machine. So far, my experience with the PC has been overwhelmingly negative. For all you PC people out there, change my mind, because so far, the PC has really shit the bed, but I've yet to edit a big project on it, so the jury is still out. But so far, deeply unimpressed. Also, the whole idea of like getting
I would have talked you out of it.
Monitor. Well, I don't think you could have, but we'll see. We'll see. It's early days, but so far, negative. All negative.
Tyler Adams on the live stream says that the audio is pretty low for both of us.
Okay. Well,
he didn't realize before, but that he has his volume up really high.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I've just turned myself up a little bit.
I don't think you should tune yourself up. Maybe you should look at OBS and see what the output level is there. Is that at like max, or is that only halfway? Because that will put both of us up, right?
No, I have to. So I can turn you up. So I'm turning you up a little bit now. Turned you up.
Right.
And I've turned me up just a touch. And we'll see if that is any better.
God, my camera looks like shit tonight.
Yeah. Well,
What up, Lexi?
On
Lexi Graves on the live stream.
A poor tradesman blames his tools.
No, well, what can I put? It's the internet connection. It must be. It can't be that big. I'm looking at this big white flat smudge. That's my fat baby face.
You're saying that you can't look like shit. It has to be the connection. It's the internet connection.
No, but it is. It is also there's very little detail. I'm all soft focus. The lighting's bad. There's nothing good about this.
Well, I feel like you've got to...
Meanwhile, you've got your brand new wood-paneled background.
I do. I've got this lovely wood-paneled background, which you can see if you look behind me. Yeah. It really looks real at this stage. If you saw any more of it, you'd be like, oh, that looks terrible. But that's the whole idea. You just got to create the illusion marginally, and then you're all good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I looked... during the break, I looked at the previous episode because it automatically started playing, and episode 182, and I looked much more in focus. Like, it was much sharper. Everything was much sharper.
Right.
So there's definitely something wacky going on. But you know what makes sense? I'm going to have to use that Ethernet cable.
That does make a lot of sense. That was one of the previous technical issues that we had here on the show, was that I was not connected to the Ethernet.
Christ, what a show.
It has not been that good.
A little bit difficult to get started. So all right. we're here.
I did want to follow up on those conspiracy theories.
Okay, so here's the thing. They got cut off before I read the shout-outs.
Okay.
That's what somebody commented. So we're going to have to pick up with the shout-outs. Okay. All right? We're bringing it back around, people. We're bringing it back around.
We're repeating ourselves, people.
we're getting there. Don't worry. I'll make it seem like it's the first time I've ever thought it. No, so... here we go. Don't worry about this, people. Here we go. Just getting my notes ready. Shout-outs. We've got Hooter Moss. All right. Shout out to Hooter Moss. Hooter says that he had just listened to the latest episode, and when asked what he thought was a good about the show, because this is what we asked last week, what's good about the show? Let us know. We need some positive reinforcement, and we need some positive fucking comments on social media. So go and let us know what you think, right? So we got a bit of feedback. This is from Hooter Moss, who says he listened to the latest episode. For me, the content is good and has variety. So that's good. That's good. The content is good and it does have variety, because I said we need to mix it up. And he said, if you want to mix it up, then maybe have a chat with some of your sexy 160 listeners live on air. I'm guessing you have listeners from around the world, and a chat with them about what's going on in their part of the world might be interesting. That's from Hooter Moss. So shout out Hooter Moss. Thanks for that feedback. And for me personally, sounds like a lot of work is the main issue. And this show is really rather impromptu. There's not a lot of, you might be able to tell, and not a lot of work goes into the prep time.
Well, so having said that, we did spend an hour and a half trying to prep for this one.
Yeah, but in terms of the show itself, there's no form, there's no rhyme or reason, there's no anything planned. We just show up and hope for the best, and usually it is the best.
You know why?
Not always.
You know why you look bad? It's because you got your hood on, so you look like a baby.
No, I'm literally soft focus as well.
But also you've got the hood on, so you look like a baby that's swaddled in his blanket.
Swaddled in his blanket.
Swaddled his little blankie.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that's not helping. That's all.
Yeah, but if I get my large egg-like dome-ish head, I'm not sure that's going to look a hell of a lot better with these headphones.
So we've gone from a baby to Dr. Evil, I guess.
And evil vet. Yeah, or as I like to think of myself, Krillin.
That's true. Very Krillinish.
I'm very Krillin from Dragon Ball Z.
When was the last time that you did have a shave, like a full shave, like you are now? I feel like never.
Well, yeah, you should see me, right? Because my body's so hairy that, and I've sort of got this shaved round, head, and I'm so hairy that I look like a stubby little, from a distance, I look like a giant but stubby little penis head popping out from a big bush of curly pubes. That's the image I evoke when you look at me naked. Like from the waist, from the neck down, I'm hairy, and from here on up, I'm just completely hairless.
Yeah,
it's not a good look.
No,
it's not a good look.
It's weird.
It's always a tough decision for Harley. Where does the chest hair become beard?
Yeah.
And where does the back hair become head? That's a problem, especially when you're doing it yourself.
So what?
But it's a hairy back 22, right? Because I can't get a woman to shave my back for me, because I've got such a hairy back. I can't get close to somebody because I'm so hairy, but I can't shave myself.
Yeah.
So I can't get close to anybody.
Well, I believe we may have mentioned it on the podcast, but there is the back blade. You heard of that one? Which it reaches round and gets your back.
I've seen your back blade.
It's brilliant.
I used to see your back blade in the shower when we back at the old flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always an option. You'd probably go through two in one sitting.
Well, yeah, I'd probably get through a couple of blades. I do have the Veet, which you can spray on yourself, which is what I used to do back in the day. Just Veet it. Just spray it on, wipe it off. But you got to go through this period where you're freezing fucking cold and it's not warm enough yet. You're freezing cold. I just need a trim. I don't want to get rid of it all. I just need to trim it down, get it a bit more manageable, But you don't want to be spiky. You don't want to get the ingrown hairs. You don't want to be freezing cold. The hair is an evolutionary advantage. Let's not forget that.
So, what else was the feedback?
The other feedback. All right. So the other feedback was from Jason P. Diddy Combs, way over in Savannah. And Jason is referring to, now last week I mentioned a sort of a conspiracy theory. Well, you called it a conspiracy theory. I said
I
it
think
was.
I said you sounded like a crazed conspiracy theorist.
Right, and runs with scissors on the live stream had your back and suggested that it sounded. Last time he said sounds like a conspiracy theory, Harley, or something like that. And all I was trying to explain, of course, very simply, was that there are a few systems in place that we've created socially that keep us from doing things that are undesirable. So, for example, shitting in the street. I used that as the example last week, because how do you stop me from shitting in the middle of the village? You've got to have a system in place. If you shit in the village, you're going to be banished from the village, right? That's the rule. No exceptions. Any villager who shits in the middle of the village will be banished. Okay, you'll die in the wilderness outside the camp. We're talking about the Paleolithic here. You can't do that, right? Back in the Paleolithic. So for the benefit of the tribe, short term, it's real sad, sure, that I'm dead because I shit in the middle of the village. But long term, the village is stronger because there's a reduced rate of like fecally transmitted diseases brought about by my repellent existence. You see? So, for example, that was the very first rule, right? It might have been the very first rule. Paleolithic man went from being completely free and able to shit wherever he or she wanted, literally anywhere in the world, to being able to shit everywhere in the world except for in the middle of the village. His freedom had been reduced by a rule made by that society. And then if you took away the leader of that society, the rule would still exist, and the rule would continue to exist and to grow and to spread its reach, and there'll be more rules that reinforce it. And every time the system gets better, we get less freedom. And that's all I was really saying. And so Jason P. Diddy Combs says that Harley is describing an ecosystem. An ecosystem is not a conspiracy. It's complicated. It involves many interlocking parts and reinforcing mechanisms, but no mind guiding it. A rainforest is not a conspiracy. And to describe how a rainforest works is not a conspiracy. Harley specifically said that this system has evolved with no one in control of it, though many may seek to use it to their advantage. If Harley had said this was all the result of a design guided by the Illuminati for centuries, then it would be a conspiracy theory. But there's no mind in control of it. It's a dump truck out of control, burning, careening down a hill filled with fucking rubbish. That's what it is. Nobody at the helm.
Yeah, so I wanted to consult a specialist on this one. So I reached out to Charles Pigden, a.k.a. my dad, who has written a book on conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so. And so he knows a lot about conspiracy theories. He's written a lot about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And yes, so...
I'm going to preempt here, though. I am going to preempt and say that you, I bet, did not explain it to him how I did.
I think I did.
Well, we better see what he says, but...
But he basically said, yep, that's right. It's not a conspiracy theory. And in fact, it may refer to the invisible hand. And here's a quote. So, the rich consume little more than the poor, and in spite of their natural selfishness and rapacity, though they mean only their own conveniency, though the sole end which they propose from the labours of all the thousands of whom they employ be the gratification of their own vain and insatiable desires. They divide with the poor the produce of all their improvements. They are led by an invisible hand to make nearly the same distribution of the necessaries of life which would have been made had the earth been divided into equal portions among all its inhabitants, and thus, without intending it, without knowing it, advance the interest of society and afford means to the multiplication of the species.
Wait, so what was that last bit? Was it saying that these people are doing something good?
No. No. Then no one's doing anything good. Everyone is like led by this invisible hand, which is just a system, but there is no one behind the system.
Yes.
The system just exists, and some people, like these rich people, exploit the system in a way to their advantage, or sometimes unintentionally to negative effect on those below them. And so that's basically the crux of it, I believe.
Well,
yes.
There you go.
So yes, a social setup in which the individual choices of many agents collectively produce a stable and persistent outcome which they do not intend.
Well, that's what we're completely surrounded by. And how do we stop it? How do we stop this big system that we're all a part of, that there's no one individual in control of? You can't like go to the top and go, I'm going to blow up the person who's in charge of the legal system, and then the law will disappear. We'll get the highest ranking legal person in the world and blow them up, and then the world legal system will disappear. No, it won't. It'll be replaced. That person is replaceable. We're all replaceable. So how do we control this beast that we've created?
Yes, and there's a few other examples of different types of hands as well.
You should watch The Platform, because you didn't watch it yet,
I've watched
did you?
it now.
Oh yeah, what'd you think of
so
that? Well, at least we can get to that. We can get to a platform review as well.
Well, no, I think that's basically, sums it up. Invisible hand, hidden hand, one of the two. And I guess maybe a mighty, a mighty hand is one which some social agent or agency endowed with sufficient power brings about a phenomenon by rewarding the compliant and punishing the non-compliant. So it's a mighty hand. So that's Russia and China, presumably. Yes, so there you go. We've all learned something today.
A conspiracy.
It was not a conspiracy.
Well, not me. I knew it all along.
Well, I mean, you knew it wasn't a conspiracy theory.
I knew it existed. I knew it was there. I believe I said I'm a victim of the system too, but at least I know it. And then you laughed heartily and said, "Oh, if you could just take that piece of the show." Yeah.
Oh no, I still maintain that you sound like a deranged lunatic on the last episode. No one's
most episodes. To be fair, most episodes. Now, what do you think of The Platform? Because that is really an analogy for exactly what we're talking about here with the invisible hand. You know, this idea that everybody's looking out for themselves a little bit, and the further up you are, the better it is. But it becomes for little mediocrities, little conveniences and so on, that you do these things, but somebody else is living a life of poverty so that you can have a second Rolls Royce, you know?
Yes. No, look, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a good film. Thought it was interesting. Thought it was like pretty cool. And yes, I guess it's exploring the different, the different layers of humanity through that concept and how we react to, if, the concept was, so essentially, just to break it down for people that haven't seen it, the idea is that people are all stuck
on Netflix,
all stuck on these levels of this platform, right?
And it's really good.
And this food, which in theory should be enough for everyone, if everyone just took as much as they should, would go all the way down the platforms, and people take some, and then after a few minutes, it goes to the next platform, right?
You're not going to tell them the whole thing, right?
No. So for the people at the top of the platform, obviously have an abundance of choice, and then as you get lower and lower down, there's less and less food. There's more and more desperation. But after, I think it's every month or 6 weeks or something, everyone gets swapped around in their places on the platform.
Yeah, you're telling them the whole thing.
Well, that is
the trailer doesn't tell them
that's
much.
a pretty generic
Spoiler
plot
alert.
that doesn't explain anything about what actually happens.
But I watched it. I knew nothing about it. I was like, boom, play. All I knew was the trailer.
Yeah. Well, now you have some context for what the fuck we're talking about.
Hey, sorry. I'm always trying to protect the listeners from spoilers. I'm a vigilante.
But yeah. So many things happen in that. It's definitely worth watching, and obviously it follows someone who wakes up on one of these levels.
Yeah.
And very cool. Definitely worth a watch. Tyler Adams say pretty good commentary piece. He'd say it was about a 7 out of 10. Whew, Tyler, you're a hard man to please. I'd give that an 8. Solid 8. Maybe lost its way slightly towards the end there. But I give it 8 out of 10. So there you go. Check out the platform on Netflix. Nocturnal mentions The Social Dilemma, which I actually mentioned last week. So
Yep. And I have watched it now as well. I watched it in the preceding week.
Yep.
Well, the preceding week since you mentioned it.
Yep. So are you feeding the algorithm? Are you a slave to the algorithm? And are you being monetized right now with the choices you make? And
yeah, well, absolutely, I am, but not really. Like, as in, the system doesn't work all the way down to the bottom because the ads won't ever buy anything
because you're so fucking cheap, doesn't work on you.
So people, well, I just don't need any of that junk, and so like, it doesn't really work on me. So what happens is the ad pops up. It annoys me. I flag it as spam. Remember a couple of weeks ago, on the show, I said, make sure you go through and flag all the ads that pop up in your inbox as spam. Put them as, if it's anything to do with dating, make it sexually inappropriate. Report it for being sexually inappropriate. If it's something, spam like, report it as spam, like just do whatever, because to try and create a gap between the advertisers and Facebook, right? So we just fuck them up by reporting all their ads all the times. That's my plan of attack. That's how I take down the big evil empire. But so anyway, the point is that the ads just annoy me. I never actually buy any of the things, and you might say, oh, of course you are though, Harley. You're still being manipulated a little bit. And of course I am. I'm being exposed to things. But very rarely does something pop up that I'm like, oh, I need that thing. I need that junk.
I guess from your perspective, they're still deciding what to give you to keep you online.
Well, I've given them so much information about that.
World War II.
Positive reinforcement. Dating opportunities.
The Unabomber. Anything to do with the Unabomber.
Opportunities for growth, dating opportunities, work opportunities. Keep those things coming my way, Facebook, and I will keep on coming back. If you keep, I'm not interested in these ads though, really. So at the end of the day, right, the advertiser pays Facebook, but Facebook it's not worth it. I didn't buy. I'm a waste. I'm a drag on the system.
Oh, I wonder, too, if we're a sort of generation that is not quite as easily led as someone that is born into it. So there is less impetus and motivation for us to do this because we didn't start doing this. We never interacted with ads and bought things.
We've got to pass on our wisdom. Then that's what we've got to do. We've got to preserve the old ways.
Well, that's what they said.
We need to teach the next generation.
Basically, what we've got to do is not give kids a phone until they're like fucking 14 and hate us for it. That's really one of the ways, and then limit it to like 1 hour. And they're like, Dad, where the fuck am I going? 1 hour? Are you fucking serious? My friends are like walking around with this shit. Do you realize how many parties and like I'm missing out on life? They would just have
secret phones. It wouldn't work. They'd just have secret phones that they hide from you.
Well, not if they don't have any money.
Well, it's true. Then they'd resort to petty crime to get the money, to get the social.
Well, you're the one giving them the money. But I will say, I guess there's the issue now too, where like actually really they just need free internet, which is in quite few places, so they'd probably find a way. They'd have a burner phone that they just like logged into fucking BP hotspots at to do all their fucking why did you come late home from school today, son? Oh, I just had soccer practice, Dad. Actually 2 hours on fucking Instagram, at the BP station. Oh, I just had some homework I really wanted to get. No, you fucking didn't. Look out, Tyler. Keep an eye out, Tyler. These kids of yours, they're going to be part of the social dilemma. You've got. I wonder what his policy is about the phones. Because also the other thing is like they are very handy. Give the phone. You give the phone to them, and then Drink it. Give the phone to them, and then they're sort of they're compliant and docile for a while, where you get some work done. That's one of the big advantages to the iPad now.
Well, the other day I saw a kid at a restaurant, a couple at the restaurant. They walked in, they sat down, they plonked the 3-year-old in front of this big iPad, this big giant screen that was had a rubber thing around the outside of it, so she could probably drop it and be quite rough with it and so on. And they just plonked her down, and gave her the iPad or whatever. So, but on the one hand, that child was quiet, but on the other hand, that child wasn't present for that memory. That child doesn't remember going to the the village, the bloody the restaurant.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just watching telly again and mucking around with its games again.
But at least he shut the fuck up, or she.
Well, it's true, but it's today's ads, tomorrow's adults.
Peppa Pig.
Right?
Keep them invested. Peppa Pig. Yes. Well, look, our friends do that. My sister does that. Not all the time or anything, but in fact, she has a sort of a limit on how much iPad her son can have. But, he does turn into a zombie for that period of time when he's just looking at the screen. The weird thing is, that's not any different to watching the TV, what he's doing. But yet the magic of the iPad in his hand has suddenly transformed him. Whereas if he's just watching the TV, he's getting distracted and shit. It's weird.
But it's not TV though, is it? He's interactive. He's in that world. He's literally no longer in the room because he is in this world interacting with it and doing
that's
things.
The thing. A lot of them, yes, there is.
You're not doing that with TV. With TV, you're just watching. Yeah,
but
you're passive. You're passively participating.
But lots of them are passive participation as well. There's, like I said, you put on Peppa Pig. You're not actually necessarily doing anything. Peppa Pig's just doing some crazy shit. So what's the difference?
It's also closer.
It is
closer to your face.
It is closer.
And their heads are much smaller too. So it's like going to the movies.
Yeah,
from their perspective.
Peppa Pig. So yeah. Anyway, that's a conundrum we all must face, or not any of us that don't have kids. Obviously, don't have to worry.
No. Not for any of us incels out here.
About that.
In the incel mafia out here in Auckland, the Auckland incel mafia. Speaking of being an incel, somebody today suggested that I should go for the Bachelor. Apparently, the Bachelor is looking for another Bachelor again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you imagine how relieved that 23-year-old aspiring Instagram influencer would be when I took her rose off her? Yeah, she would be so relieved, wouldn't she? God, can you imagine it? So
how long
this is
do I have
Harley.
to keep this facade up for?
He's 37.
Yeah.
He is bald and he currently looks like a chubby pancake. And he's so hairy, and he's known for being hairy because he was on the Ellen show for being hairy. Yeah.
That's his claim
how
to
do you
fame.
sell this? How do you sell this as being, he's currently more or less unemployed, kind of, a sort of semi-employed techno hobo, and he's short, bald, and hairy. How do they package that? How do they package that as something that 10 beautiful, 20 to 30-year-old, Instagram models want to, be a part of? I've got literally nothing to offer.
Well,
I've got nothing to offer them whatsoever.
Interests include World War II history and the Unabomber. That's what he'll get into a spirited conversation with you about.
The Unabomber is merely one small fraction of the whole big system conspiracy, conversation. That's just one part of it.
Yeah. Well, look, either way, look, I that's the thing, because some of them would be afraid. They'd be like, am I going to get far in this competition and have to sleep with this guy, potentially? Because obviously part of me wants to stay on the show and get to the end.
Yeah.
The other part of me does definitely not want to sleep with him towards the end of the show.
I don't think there's any type of obligation for the ladies to, or for anybody to actually sleep together. But I mean, it would be weird, obviously, if literally none of the ladies wanted to like kiss me in the jacuzzi. You know what I mean? Like literally none of them kiss me. I'm just there with my hairy back, and like the plugs are starting to get a little like filled up with hairy back hairs. You know, there's some hairs bobbing around in the
what
middle.
we're talking about is a hilarious.
Here I am, like a little stubby penis head with my pube body on my
Poking
pancake face, poking up out of the water, and none of them want to kiss me. That would obviously they might feel some obligation to kiss me, which is obviously inappropriate.
To be honest, there is an amazing show and like basically doing the anti-Bachelor, which is you, as the lead.
But you've got to put. But that's the anti-Bachelor. Then all the other applicants need, or the aspiring, applicants there, they need to be as ugly as me.
No,
and I don't want any fucking part of that.
No, you're the Bachelor, so it's just you singular.
Yeah, I know, it's just me.
Yeah.
But they're all competing for me. But in the version that goes on telly, they have a beautiful, tall, handsome man.
Yeah.
With a full head of hair.
With a beautiful woman.
Who's in his late 20s and he's a successful, banker, or he's done something and he's got a bunch of money, and there's a whole bunch of beautiful women who are on his level of beauty.
But that's
apart from a few underdogs that they throw in.
But that's what makes this show so good, Harley. Is the rejection of that, but it's still all the beautiful women. But
so the women are still beautiful.
Yeah, the woman is still beautiful.
No, you're right. I'm on board.
But it's you, and it's like, can a normal schlubby guy with not great prospects,
the schlubby dad,
can this
the schlubby dadula
find love with a beautiful woman, or is it that this world is truly as superficial as we might believe, and no one wants a fucking bar of him? There's all sorts of, there's all those jokes. There's literally the joke where she's like, well, I walked into the jacuzzi and there was just like this, looked like a little stubby penis poking out of the water with a floating over this sea of hair. I've never seen anyone that hairy. And I looked around because I thought that people on the show were setting me up and they had glued this hair onto him for comedy.
They got the gaffer to jump in and wait. This is the first time she had seen me.
And I was shocked because I just didn't believe it was real. I kept thinking that when I ran my hand through it, that it would come away because it was glued on, but it didn't come away. It was just my hand just lodged firmly into it, and there is a great show in that for sure. Yeah.
Well, can you love a hairy man?
Yeah.
Or what's the show going to be called? The average, the real Bachelor, the world's most eligible Bachelor.
Yeah. It's like the
hairiest Bachelor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look,
the world's slobbiest Bachelor.
Yeah, the Schlubbiest Bachelor.
The Schlubbiest Bachelor.
Maybe that's it. The Schlubbiest Bachelor.
Schlubbiest Bachelor.
Maybe that's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
The Schlubbiest Bachelor. So yes, I mean, on the one hand, I want to apply because obviously it would be a great opportunity in many ways for me to get on that show. Many aspects of my life that would be good for it to get on that show. But on the other hand, it just seems entirely unrealistic.
You know
that they would select me.
It's
in which case it's the Beauties and the Beast. That's it.
That's good.
That's
good.
No,
that's
it.
Good.
That's the one. That
is good.
That's exactly the name of it. That's what they'll call it. That's the best one for it.
So what I would suggest,
the Beauties and the Beast.
So what I would suggest is that you should definitely apply for it, knowing full well that you won't get it, and in your in your interview stuff, like in your thing, you've got to send in a self-tape, I'm assuming.
Well, exactly.
And this is the thing. You go full schlubby, hairy retard on it. As in you really you play up all this stuff. You have your top off at some point. You make jokes about all this stuff. and you kind of point out the ridiculousness of it all, but also how it is, you are looking for love. And what's wrong with a guy that lives in a basement at 37? This is my quarters. Look around my room. The toilet.
This is how I live.
This is great. Look, the toilet is right there, so you don't even have to think about it. You just one step from the bed and you're in there, and all this stuff. And
a meter away from that is my kitchen.
And then but then if you feel like you're hungry along the way, you've got the kitchenette on the side.
I can butter my toast while I'm on the loo.
And you talk about that and joke about the hair, do all that sort of thing, knowing obviously full well, no, you're not going to be selected as the Bachelor, but you will be played as in a comedic clip, that humiliates and makes fun of you. In the Bachelor candidates bit at the beginning of the first episode. Because, hey, at least you're on the show.
Well, look, on the
you
one
got
hand,
nothing to lose.
It's true. Well, I do. I have all the time and effort associated with writing, acting in, and editing and uploading that and all the other stuff. The photos, all the questionnaires. I don't know if anybody out there in podcast land has ever applied to be on a reality show, but let me tell you something. These motherfuckers are using websites from 1995. To make it work. That's what it seems. They're constantly like they'll have time limits, and yet they're asking you really complex questions, and you type them all up, and then you press go, at the bottom, and then it all disappears, and you lose all of that 6 times. You have to type them up in a different document and then copy paste them in, and you get like one chance at it. Sometimes you can't go back and edit your previous, but it's horrible. It's a whole thing, big long, because they want to know obviously that I'm not a psycho. In all seriousness, they need to know a whole bunch of information about me before they can say, okay, we're going to put him on the show. Yep. They've got to make sure I'm not a psycho. They've got to look deep into things and assess me in all, various ways.
You'll be vetted by my ex-girlfriend,
Your ex.
4 times removed, who works as the psychiatrist. Yes, which one's the one that prescribes?
Probably psychologist?
No, psychologist doesn't prescribe. Psychiatrist does prescribe. So I believe, she's the resident psychiatrist. Can you imagine how many fucking nut jobs she's had to talk to and sort of be like, look,
because her job is to weed them out from when they apply for reality show.
And this is the problem, because most of them aren't actually weeded out. They just continue on to be part of the show. So it's to stop them from topping themselves through the show and listen to them whine about, all the insane, inept stuff that they think is wrong with their lives, which is actually nothing at all.
Inane, maybe inane stuff.
Yeah. So that could be you. She could be the one vetting you.
Yeah, well, look, if I got on the show, it'd be worth it. But putting in an application when I know that I'm not going to get on, that's not really worth it.
What about the comedy segment? To be honest,
I gave them my number because I was approached about it.
Right.
I was scouted.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah, you're singled out.
I was singled out. I was scouted. They asked for my email address and phone number, and I gave it to them. Because this is just my life. I just walk around and people go, "Hey, that's an eligible motherfucker right there."
Yeah.
He might be good for the Bachelor.
That chubby-looking baby.
Well, I don't. There's definitely some chubby baby look about me at the moment. But the baby part of it's okay. At least I feel like I'm still looking reasonably young when you take away all the grey hair. I could pass for somebody in his late 20s or early 30s.
This Professor Xavier looking motherfucker.
It's Krillin cunt.
Well, to be honest, really what you should do is you should do like a little kind of skit /
never shave my beard again.
Well, that too, but you should do like a little skit doco about your application process. That goes on the YouTube channel. So that's just content and that's just funny and hilarious.
Well, there you go. That's how you monetize
and then obviously you are played as a funny clip on The Bachelor, but it's like, it's your quest to become the next Bachelor.
And ending up in the funnies.
Yeah, ended up as the as the guy that is ridiculed at some point. Yep.
Yeah, well, that is quite funny. And I'll tell you what, if this leads to something and the audition process begins, then you should document it for that exact skit. That is, someone's got to shoot it, right? If anyone's going to shoot it, it's got to be you.
Well, I kind of
So
thought you could shoot it yourself.
shoot it myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a production then. That's not a Pigville production.
Well, well, I thought it was going to be like sort of, selfies to camera and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was picturing the project
Yeah, right.
played up like the project.
Yeah, you can still do that.
Yeah, play it up like the project. So it gets meta. So I'm applying for a reality show, but I'm Harley from the project. The character is applying for this reality show, played by Harley, the real Harley, the actor.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not a bad idea. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Harley in the project should web series The Project should apply to be on a reality show. There we go, solved. And he gets into the funnies and ridiculed and mocked.
Gets into the funny.
He applies to be the main guy, but he ends up as the butt of the joke. Yeah. Perfect.
So we should also just talk very briefly about our film, Older.
Okay.
Which has been released online, streaming. Still looking for reviews and ratings. If you haven't already done that, please do so on imdb.com and Amazon. But I do get people messaging me about it, which is good. So basically what happens is I'm Guy Pigden on Instagram. There's only one Guy Pigden on Instagram in the world. He also happens to be the director and actor in Older. And so I get people messaging me every sort of probably couple of days telling me, hey, fuck, I saw your film. I really loved it. And that's normally about the extent of the message. It's normally about that. Like, hey, I just saw your film. I thought it was really good.
We touch of fame.
But this one in particular, I thought was pretty good. So I'm going to read it out.
Okay.
This is from Bobby in NYC. Hi, Guy. Love your film Older. I just wanted to reach out to let you all know it was a beautiful film. I truly enjoyed it. Hopefully you are well and your families are all safe and healthy. COVID-19 has taken away so much from people in the world, and at a time when we feel so hopeless, Older is a welcoming film. I especially love the part when the character Jenny said, I choose to be happy. The world is in such a bad shape right now, and we need something to look forward to, something that might bring us some joy, and something that might put a smile on someone's face. Something that reminds us that no matter what, happiness is a choice. I was reminded of that tonight watching Older. Thank you. Well, thank you, Bobby. Appreciate that.
I hope you told him to go and copy paste that into a review somewhere where it can actually have an effect on the film.
I haven't replied to he or she yet, but I will.
You should reply with the IMDb link. Like, give them the link. Make it easy. That's the trick with the internet. Make it one click away. Everything's one click away.
Yeah.
You go, don't make them look up Older the movie on IMDb, but everybody should go out and look up Older the movie on IMDb. But give them the link and say, hey, well, it'd be great if you could review this. And you don't even need an account. You just got to log in with Facebook or Google. That's what I always say. It takes like 3 clicks, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it does. It does take like 3 clicks. So if you have a Facebook page or a Google page, a Gmail account, you can go to IMDb right now and log in. It will create you an account in about 3 clicks, and then you can give us a 10-star rating.
Well, we do have our premiere on Sunday, and you are going to meet with them tomorrow. This is the cinema that. So we're going to meet with the cinema tomorrow, and you're going to ask them a few questions. Quite pertinently, can we sell our merch there?
Yeah. Under level 2 restrictions,
are we allowed to sell merchandise?
Have a merch table, because it is a bit of a concern.
Well, we prepared all this merch for it, and now it's possible that they'll be like, oh no, you can't have that there. In which case, we've got some merch to sell online. But I'm actually waiting. So I have posted away the Blu-ray to Tyler Adams, and I'm waiting for him to tell me that it works and plays on his systems over there, so we can sort of sell it internationally. He also just mentioned that he's got a new PC workstation, which is the equivalent of a Mac Pro Tower on Apple, and he paid significantly less. Well, I think that's the thing, is if you're going up a tier with the PCs, you're definitely going to get... But if you're going sort of mid-tier, it's just the same as a fucking iMac, financially.
Yeah.
But anyway...
But less reliable.
But, well, we don't know that yet. That's
but less reliable.
We're not sure about that.
Well, I know. That's why I left the PC-ness clan and joined the Mac Attacks.
But how
now
long ago?
Now I'm a Mac Attack boy.
But you left like 8 years ago, right, or longer?
Yeah, probably about 8 years ago. Well, whenever I inherited your Mac from you.
Yeah, yeah. So,
because that my entire kit is all guys' hand-me-downs. This light, the original Mac I got. I've got a fucked tripod that spontaneously combusted the other day.
Just broke.
Spontaneously exploded.
Yep.
Yeah, it just shattered.
Yeah.
I just looked after it for a little while and it just fucking exploded
Just
everywhere.
randomly.
It was fucking booby. It was booby trapped, is what it was.
Yep.
And the leg's broken now. But so that's a hand-me-down. Doesn't have a fucking base plate with it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Don't
it's
need
useless to me. Don't need a base plate. I'm going to gaffer tape it on with the gaffer I stole from your house the other day when I was there.
I was going to say, you could just learn to find these small items and order a new base plate.
Well, the problem is I flag all the ads before I read them. I report them all before I read them. So the issue is I just keep forgetting to get any of these things and I don't know where to get them from.
Yeah.
If somebody would like to make a donation to the Pigville Productions Gear Fund, all you've got to have is a PayPal account, and you've got to have PayPal and the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com. If you've got that email address, pigvilleproductions@gmail.com, and a PayPal account, you can transfer money of your choosing into there for gears or beers. It's up to you, really. You just let us know. Is it for gears or is it for beers? We'll buy beers for the show, or we'll buy gears for Harley to use, or beers for Harley to drink.
Yeah.
Guys, on the coffee. It's not my fucking fault.
I'm on the coffees at the moment. So yeah, after the fattening.
Yeah.
Unlike the fappening. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Of course, I remember it fondly. I remember the fappening fondly.
Well, now it's the fattening, which I'm remembering much less fondly. It's like the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
See this fat body, it's your own, and you're disgusted and turned off.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It doesn't make you feel sexy it doesn't make you feel like you are going to be a good lover when you yourself are not feeling like you look good. You need to feel like you look good. That's why like going to the gym is so good, right? Everyone says, oh, it's hard work, and the results are happening so slow, and it's like, yep, it's true. It's true. You barely look any different, and you've been working hard and eating well, and you barely look any different, but you feel different, and you feel sexier, and you feel more confident and better, and you're like, ooh, my abs are feeling okay. I haven't worked out in a year.
Yeah.
A year. I'm such a fat piece of shit. I'm lazy.
You are
poor.
You are lazy.
I'm the world's least eligible bachelor.
Yeah, so that's cool. That was all I had on that, the older update there. But yes,
Yeah, well, the main thing, though, would be if anybody's in Auckland, it would be great if they could help us. Well, it doesn't matter where you are, actually, but we've got our screening on Sunday. Tonight is Thursday. And when this comes out, this podcast comes out, it's going to be Monday. But the screening is on Sunday night, and and we'd love to see you all there, and we'd love to meet with anybody that's in Auckland, and we encourage you to get your tickets. You can go to olderfilm.com, and we're going to do a Q&A afterwards. We've only got 100 seats total, so we've got 20 tickets left, and we would love it if you guys could schnappel them up or send along your friends. Send them to olderfilm.com, and there's a thing there that says buy now, and you click on that. It's and there's a whole bunch of links in there, and one of them is for the premiere, and so that's how you do it. Olderfilm.com, and yeah, please come along. If you haven't got your tickets yet, please do, because the screening. To be really honest, I mean, this is a filmmaking podcast.
It's a podcast about our lives.
And I'm worried that there won't be that many people there, because the screening has been postponed 4 times now. 4 times thanks to COVID. We're still in level 2 in Auckland, so that limits the size of the amount of people. It's sort of less an event, then there's less, opportunity, there's less kind of schmoozing and so on afterwards, because we can't like put on a bunch of piss and say like, everybody head to the bar and like mingle and breathe all over each other and end up fucking, like you can't do any of that. It's more like, we'll just have to take a wee clicker homies, because we can have up to 10 people at one table. So we could take a wee clicker homies and go to another bar somewhere. That would be the after party, but it would be kind of somewhat exclusive because it's a table of 10 is the limit.
Well, fortunately, that would include all the cast and crew.
Yeah.
Could fit in that group of 10, no worries.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What we could do, though, is we could take 20 and have 2 tables next to each other.
Yeah.
But don't, interact. They're 2 separate, groups.
It's not the first, but we'll say it's the first COVID premiere. A premiere during COVID times. This is unprecedented. This is a moment in history.
Not only is it not the first, it's not even the premiere. It's literally available on the internet right now for people to watch.
This is cinema premiere.
Yes, well, it played in a cinema in Germany, actually, like at the beginning of the year. So
it's the non-German cinema premiere.
It's the New Zealand cinema premiere. I'll give you that.
Yep.
It's the New Zealand cinema premiere.
Oh, it's the non-festival premiere. There we go.
Right. Yeah, the non-festival world premiere.
Worldwide premiere.
Yeah. All right.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And also, I feel like there's a story in that COVID premiere. I feel like there's a story in that. We are hamstrung by this idea of like the cinema has a certain set of rules, but a private event has different rules. But a cinema screening at the cinema done privately, it's not done privately.
Well, no. See, now it doesn't matter.
Now it doesn't matter.
2.5.
Okay.
Now we're the same as level 2.
Okay.
So that's why we can do it now.
Right. I guess the disturbing thing about all this is that because I was kind of under the impression that I was like, because otherwise you'd be stopping hundreds of people flocking to the cinemas. But, the reality is actually maybe, in all these cinema screenings, of just other films, like just your tentpole films, they're getting 50 people and it doesn't matter. Certainly that was my experience when I went to see Tenet a while back. And that zombie one as well, Peninsula. So, maybe people are just given up on cinemas.
Well, maybe. I mean, look, we do have a Q&A. We can lure them in with the Q&A. Yeah, we're doing a live Q&A afterwards, and people can watch the movie. Then they can ask, the director, the writer, director, actor, all about it. The producer will be up there too, and probably the other cast will be keen as well. So if anybody's interested, so people will be able to do a Q&A. We'll be able to have a Q&A afterwards, and so it's still an event. It's still an event.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be cool. I kind of feel like everyone should take the photos with the masks on just as a COVID reference. But
well, that's another thing, too, is we sort of need to – we're hosting an event during level 2 COVID. So we need to take a certain amount of responsibility for that fact and encourage our people to come along to wear masks, even though they don't have to in a cinema. But they are going to be seated socially distanced from one another. They have to be, because that's the way that's the cinema rules. So it's like – yeah, people should probably wear masks as well.
It's kind of crazy. Is like, are we going to see premieres like on Hollywood on the red carpet, and we're going to see everyone wearing masks and like kind of spaced out with these little groups of press, and like instead of like crowds of people, there's going to be a few people on the guardrails.
Yes,
is that what's going to happen?
Absolutely. That's no more surreal than these soccer games in front of and baseball games in front of cardboard cutouts.
Well, I guess the question is, are people just going to give up on it?
Right.
That experience, or are they going to maintain this experience under these lockdown levels?
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out on Sunday and see if anybody bothers to show up to the non-festival cinema world premiere of Older.
If we were thinking about it, we would have got a bunch of
7 p.m.
older masks.
Yeah, well, that would. I said the exact same thing to one of my other employers today. I said, "Shit, we should have got a bunch of masks with the name of this project on it."
The crazy thing is, before this second lockdown, none of this was relevant because it was all go. We're at level 1. We could do whatever the fuck we pleased.
We were naive.
We had 100 days. Like, if
we did
fallen in this 100 days, and we almost did. We were like a week off the 100 days, I believe.
Yeah.
And had we not originally, because we did postpone it by...
No, we had 102 days.
We did, but
COVID.
what I'm saying is we did postpone that premiere 1 week into this new lockdown. Had we gone when we...
Because of Emmy the Vegan.
Yes, and also because we just needed a bit more time to... kind of bring all these things together.
Well, yeah, that's right. We needed some time between Emmy the Vegan and Older because we had just done the premiere of Emmy the Vegan, so we're spending all our time and concentration on that, and then you want to have a bit of time to promote Older and build up to the release of that.
Yeah. So
what a disaster.
So it is just funny that we were that 100 days of glory. We would have fallen right into that and then gone back into lockdown happily after this glorious premiere with everyone with their faces out. And the merch table flowing. Nocturnal says he'll be there. He says drive-throughs will be the new thing. I'm actually looking forward to them setting up a good drive-through here. Because this is the thing. Like,
then you don't have to worry about getting caught.
That's the thing is, like, these cinemas are, if they're running at like 20% capacity now, they are on a sort of a stretch of road with, at the end of it, a cliff. And they're driving towards this cliff. And they're hoping that a bridge is going to get built in front of them. But no bridge is being built. And so they're just going to go right off that cliff. And as soon as they do, I reckon it'll be like all of them almost will just shut down overnight. Because they're all not making money. They're all running at a loss. They all have nowhere to go. And it was fine when we were saying, well, cool, we're going to get out of it and it's going to be all good. Except now there's a second wave in London, you know, and they're going to have to go into another lockdown. And we've had to go into another lockdown. And Melbourne's had to go into another lockdown because there's going to be these waves. And it's like, so shit, is this truly the end of mainstream cinema? Like, it's not going to be the end of cinema as a whole, but is this the end of those types of Hoyts, Rialtos, what's the other one? Events. Like, are they all going to go the way of the dodo?
Well, if they have to keep their prices so high, then the answer is yes, because the experience they offer is not enough to justify the prices they charge for their tickets and for their food. So it's like, you're like, oh, I want to go and watch a movie, and obviously you can do it for literally free at home.
Yep.
Or you can, or you know, like, no, literally free. You can pirate it for literally free at home. So you got to decide, how much am I willing to pay for this thing? You know, do I want to pay $4 and hire it online, olderfilm.com, or do I want to pay, you know, $20 and buy it online, or do I want to pay for 2 separate tickets for me and my girlfriend, drive down there, park, buy an $8 popcorn and a $9 Coke, plus whatever she wants, and then, you know, watch the movie and then have to pay for all that parking at the end and go back again? It's like, well, now we're talking like $50 easy minimum $50 nowadays to go to the movies. By the time you factor in the parking, and if you want to and you go, oh, well, you know, just don't have the Coke and the popcorn. It's like, well, what's the fucking point then? I can buy the Coke and popcorn at the supermarket. You know, like, it's part of the experience.
Yeah,
God damn it.
I've got to have my choc top ice cream with nuts.
Exactly.
No doubt about
it's all part of it.
It's
all part of it.
Gotta have it. Not enjoying the
film
film
otherwise. So you're charging me $50, $60, $50, you know, easy for what used to be a cheap date, a cheap and easy date. So, and now it's like, well, look, just do it at home. There's a lot of benefits to just doing it at home, you know, a lot of benefits.
Well, Nocturnal says the death of the multiplex and the rise of the small art house cinema again, ? I'm for it. Multiplex.
I'm for it too.
Multiplex cinema complex don't play the films I want to see anyhow. And I think that is a great point. And I do think that it could, if these cinemas do become sort of more like a boutique experience, and they do then have to kind of target sort of different films and a slightly different audience, I think that would be really fucking cool, because I'd love to see more films like Older or whatever, like the films that I watch too, that I guess I should rephrase that. I enjoy films at the cinema no matter what, but the films that, like, I go, holy shit, that really fucking blew my mind, is not often the films that I see in the cinema. Have you seen Tenet yet?
No.
But
Got no one to go with.
a lot of the times the films, I had to go with my girlfriend. Sorry,
Didn't get invited.
I had to go with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Three's a crowd.
Don't spend enough time with her. Don't spend enough. Literally live with her. Don't spend enough time with her. Got to go with the girlfriend.
Yeah. Doesn't see me enough.
Mm. Yeah.
I think that that actually could be really cool, and that would be a good thing. I think in the long term, unless we end up making a big popular multiplex film one day, in which case we'll be longing for the days of the multiplex and lamenting that in fact that it's gone.
Don't you think that this whole COVID thing, so we make a film for 7 years and then this freak occurrence happens right when it comes out, not only the global pandemic in the grander picture, but also the second wave happening to happen right when we're about to release it. And don't you think that just smacks of the old curse, Pigville, close but no cigar? That's been haunting us. That's what it's known as. Pigville, close but no cigar. That's the curse that's been haunting us, where we always come second, or we're always set up to win, and then just suddenly at the last minute something random happens, and you're like, oh well, it didn't quite work out like that.
Always the bridesmaid. Never the bride.
Pigville, close but no
Always
cigar. And isn't this the ultimate example of that?
That's
like it comes out, but it's hamstrung in many ways. After all this time, it's hamstrung in many ways.
To be honest, I don't really see it like that. Like, I do see it as that's shit. But to be honest, I always thought this film was going to be released online and be an online film, and therefore that is all just the same. In fact, if anything, we should have more opportunity due to COVID, that people will have exhausted all their options of their multiplex films.
They've all seen Tenet,
and they've all seen the fucking Netflix, everything on Netflix, because they were at home. So now they have to look further afar. So I don't actually see this one as a close but no cigar. I just see it as a not ideal premiere.
Well, it's very far from ideal. But we'll see. We'll see how we go, especially if the Sexy 160 listeners show up in force. And Nocturnal says he's going to be there. So shout out to Nocturnal.
James Cameron will do his best to save the cinemas. Well, good luck on that, Jimmy. I think he's probably in Wellington right now shooting those new Avatar films. I think the problem with the Avatar films, I mean, you watched the original Avatar, right?
Well, I starred in it.
I mean, apart from the back of your bald baby head being in it.
Well, obviously, I watched the film that I was in, the highest grossing film of all time at the time that I was...
Still the highest grossing film.
Still the highest grossing film of all time that I, Harley Neville, was in.
Was
of
an
course
actor
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched a pirated version of it when I was working on the cruise ship on a shitty little laptop in reasonably low quality.
Yeah.
But I was there, man. I watched it.
You were there for those sexy blue aliens.
Only once. Yeah. There was no aliens, but there was Sigourney Weaver, and Sigourney Weaver did touch my shoulder, and she did say...
Fuck, I forgot about that.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Fuck, I forgot that Sigourney Weaver fucking touched you.
Sigourney Weaver touched me, yeah.
Shit.
She touched me.
That's huge.
Yeah, she was so sexy in layer cake. Or fucking butter cake. What was it called?
Layer cake.
Yeah,
shout out.
I love that panty scene in layer cake. I love that panty scene in layer cake.
Actually, I'm not sure.
The famous Sigourney Weaver panty scene.
I don't know if it's not layer cake. Actually, it's something else.
The listeners will tune in and let us know what it was.
Basically, you're implying that she was very attractive when she played a mentally
snow cake.
Yeah. So Sigourney Weaver touched your arm. The Avatar, but the thing is, the Avatar was cool at the time, and you saw it in 3D, and it was actually good 3D, and it looked quite good. Well, you didn't, but I
saw it in 16-bit.
Yeah. on a Super Nintendo. Um, but you know, like, it was so long ago that I just don't think anyone gives a fuck anymore. They've got no more fucks to give about Avatar. And so I think the new Avatar, don't get me wrong, if anyone can do it, Jimmy Cameron can. We've counted him out before. We said,
but that story was just not that original.
But it was also,
the overall story.
It wasn't, but it was also of its time, as in it's like, hey, we're introducing this really cool technology. It's all 3D. We got sexy blue aliens. Sigourney Weaver touched your arm. It was a moment in time, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, cool, 3D is barely exists and no one gives a shit. The novelty is worn off. Sexy blue aliens, we see that every day of the week now. There'll be another sexy blue alien on Netflix if I turn on my Netflix. Who cares? Doesn't matter that they're sexy or blue anymore. Sigourney Weaver touching your arm, she already did that. It wouldn't mean the same thing if she touched your arm now. It only meant that because she touched your arm at the time. And so now we've got these...
Would you say that's the most famous person that touched my arm?
Oh, definitely. Without a doubt. It's the highlight of your life.
Okay.
But you know, it's just too much time has passed. So I feel like Avatar is going to cost, you know, $2 billion or whatever. And James will be like, hey, here you go, everyone. Avatar 2,
bit much money.
The sequel you've all been waiting for 15 years. And it's like,
and on top of that, you don't really want to watch it in the cinema, but you're also not going to pay $20 for it on, you know, online. You know, like they're going to be reduced revenue potentially because of the piracy, the ease of piracy.
Yeah. No, look, I think Avatar may have done its dash, but Tyler Adams says Jim has the Midas touch. That is true. Everyone said the same thing about Avatar 1, and everything said the same thing about Titanic, and I believe a lot of people said the same thing about True Lies and Terminator 2. They're like, the budget is skyrocketed, it's out of control, he's never going to make any money off this one.
Well, I'll watch them. I'll go watch them. I always say that I'll go watch that type of thing because they're shot in New Zealand, but then I don't actually do it if they just look like big dumb CGI movies. And I'm a bit worried about big dumb CGI items.
This is the king of CGI discs. And that's the weird thing, because my girlfriend was like, hey, you should get us onto the Avatar set. She said that to me as if I had some kind of clout that I could possibly... or that I had a friend that could get us onto, hey, Jim, how you doing, mate? Hey, I just brought my girlfriend in. I'm the director of Older and I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and Sigourney Weaver one time touched the lead actor's arm of Harley, who's not actually here right now, in case you're wondering the connection.
No, and then I'd be like, hey, guys, I am here, actually. I'm just tagging along.
And then I go, oh, you also might remember that an actress in the new Avatars is one of our friends. So there's that connection too. Can we get on the set? Of course we fucking can't.
Yeah.
Of course there's no chance of that. But I also said to her, I was like, look.
To be fair, I did get onto the...
Avatar 1 set.
Yeah, I did.
But to be fair, the problem with those sets is, cool, we'll step onto a big green screen.
Yeah.
Okay, look at this, baby. What do you think of the movies? And she's like,
nah, but it wasn't like that though.
Back then it wasn't.
Well, why would they add more green screen? They
Cheaper.
Like, as in they will, but yeah, they will.
Cheaper.
But like, surely they'll still have like space station. You know, like I was in a space station.
Yeah,
I was on a ship traveling to Pandora.
Well, we need to know. I guess that's what we need to know. Like, has he sort of Peter Jacksoned it and gone full CGI like with The Hobbit? I mean, he is working with Weta. Or is he like, nah, I still want my space stations set up like space stations and just the windows are green screen?
Well, if he's any good, it'll be the latter.
I mean, all told, the moral of the story is there's no fucking way I could get on that set anyway. So it's all wishful thinking.
Well, you could by telling you go, okay, I got a deal for you, baby. Not only will I get you on that set, but... for only 20% of your earnings, I will actually get you earning money on that set. You get her a job as an extra, and you take 20%.
Well, there you go. Nocturnal says they're advertising for actors for the Avatar sequels being shot in Cumu. So maybe they're shooting... I thought it was being all shot in Wellington, but I don't know shit.
Yeah. I should probably just swallow my pride and start being an extra in Avatar.
I did suggest that.
What do you mean you suggested it? It's been a possibility ever since I moved to Auckland. When I very first moved to Auckland, I was
No.
like, oh, look, if it comes to it, I'll just
No,
be an extra on Shortland Street.
That's what I'm saying. Is since you've been unemployed, I was like, well, what about doing the extra work?
Well, I remember thinking that myself. I don't remember you saying it to.
Of course you do.
And what did I say back?
You're like, yeah, I think I'll do it, maybe, but I'm just not in any rush right now, is what you said. I'm not in any rush right now, which is your response to a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a rushing around type of dude. But I believe the issue as well is that, like, if I rush into being extra right now, that means there's no chance of me getting a role at any point while this production is being shot
that's
in
the thing.
Auckland and Wellington for however long. Like, I'm taking away my ability to be the walk-on, guy that has one line.
You have real actors and you have real extras, and never the twain shall meet. That is a rule of filmmaking in well, certainly here in New Zealand, right? If you're an extra, you ain't talking, son.
But that's none of that's true. The extra on Avatar, when I was an extra on Avatar, one of the extras got a speaking role, and now she's in the credits.
Okay, featured extra, but
she was just an extra. But then she has dialogue.
But there is a distinct separation between like an extra and an actor, and like your agent does not want you to be an extra.
No, well, but the main issue is very logical, which is that obviously I'm walking around in the background and I've got a fucking, I've got my hair growing long and a beard or whatever. Or no, I don't even need to. I'm walking around in the fucking background, as one type of character, and then suddenly I come up and I pop up somewhere else and I'm like a totally different character, and they're like, well, you can't have that. Which person is he?
But there's
you can't be in the movie twice as two separate, people. That's why you can't go on Shortland Street as an extra, because you go on Shortland Street as an extra, it's such a small set, and like you're likely to be seen, and then obviously they can't cast you as like, the latest victim of a car crash if yesterday you were a nurse.
Sure, but I think that realistically there is definitely a stigma attached to extras being crazy people and actors being crazy as well, but that there's you're an actor or an extra. I mean, I was told that specifically by my agent. So I think that your agent would caution you against becoming an extra right now.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what I said.
So you said you're in no rush.
Exactly. So I'll wait and see if I get any roles or not. Get any auditions. So I've got an audition tomorrow.
So I'll just wait and see for the next half year if I get any work. And if I don't get any work, I didn't get any work. that I could have worked,
and the production's finished.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. On that note of me not being an actor or an extra, we should wrap it up.
Yes, we should wrap it up. I've got to have my dinner. It's 10:30.
It is. I've got an audition tomorrow. I've got a meeting tomorrow.
Got to learn your one
Let's all
line.
go. I've got to learn another language. It's all fucking go. So if the listeners could please go to www.olderfilm.com, and there's a big buy now button, and wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to click on that and find an option for you. And so if you're in New Zealand, the best one is to buy it on Vimeo. That's buying it directly from us. But you can also get their tickets to the premiere if you're in Auckland, which is this Sunday at 7 p.m. at Rialto Newmarket. So if you go there, olderfilm.com, there's a big buy now button. Click on it and you can get those tickets, and we'll see you there. And we'd love to see you there. And we've got about 20 tickets left, and we would really love to get reach our capacity of 100 socially distanced viewers viewing this film with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, and otherwise just watch it online if you're anywhere else in the world. Search Older the Movie on Amazon Prime and give us a review and a rating, because that's what we desperately need if we want to have this thing taken over in the background and earning for us just quietly in the background. It needs to get some positive ratings and get its views up and all that stuff.
Yeah, so also I just want to throw out a shout out to Tyler and Nocturnal, the PC builders out there. I'm going to crank up my PC and take it for a spin after this, do some serious editing, get some editing done.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know what they're rocking spec-wise, so we can compare and contrast. But anyway, so I'm gonna and I'm gonna try and edit our new short film. Stay at home. I'm gonna try and edit it on the new PC. I'm gonna see what happens. Is it gonna be success? Am I gonna turn around on the PCs, or is PCs gonna still be shit by comparison? We'll find out shortly.
Time will tell. Until next week, farewell.
See you later, guys.